Hi everyone, welcome to the Bookbinders podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Charlotte, and today we're analyzing Fingertips by Lana Del Rey.
So, what are some initial thoughts that you had?
Initially, before I even analyzed any of this, just listening to it, I thought the I in this song seemed directly like it was coming from Lana Del Rey rather than some sort of protagonist.
Now, let us mention before we start to delve into the analysis that we're not going to be making any assumptions about Lana Del Rey. This is purely our research, so none of this is, don't trust our information that we're going to give out here. All of this is just internet research, internet analysis, everything that we figured out. We're just compiling all of that and then sharing it. So
we're not making any conclusions about Lana Del Rey herself. We're just
sharing
what we
know.
Find in the music.
Exactly, and I think the story that she's telling here is not directly Lana's story, even though we'll mention the protagonist as Lana, but I think it's a great story to tell. In the context of any young adult who's going through these situations.
Yeah, we're not going to specifically say that this is Lana Del Rey's story. We're just analyzing the works.
Based on certain internet theories that have been proposed and that we have figured out and found based on what Lana has said and based on what some of her fans have said. We've compiled this information, and I'm pretty sure Lana herself at some point said that this song is everything about her life. But either way, we are making no assumptions about Lana. This is purely our compilation knowledge. And so Lana, no offense to any other her fans. We don't want to harm, and trigger warning because we're going to be talking about suicide a bit and a little bit about drugs and I think miscarriage probably. Well, a little bit.
Potential sexuals.
Okay, potential. Well, I didn't really notice that, but you know what?
There's one moment that they're like.
But okay, just so a few trigger warnings. Definitely not some super harsh things, but some avid important topics that we must touch on that occur over the song.
Parental neglect. But I didn't aside from warnings, another thing I noticed about this song initially is that there's no chorus or bridge. It's not a usual structure.
Yes, exactly.
It's very much just like a story.
Exactly. I feel like this is such a storyteller type song. This is really sending out this message. And I think it's not only a message about Lana Del Rey herself, but it's a message to a bunch of young adults like you and me, and just a message to be aware of certain things.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'll just say that my initial reaction to this song, when I listened to it, I honestly thought it was quite boring.
Me too. Yeah. The first few times actually. I didn't see anything significant until I looked at the lyrics.
Yeah, and then the lyrics, I remember sitting in French class and I listened to it one time, and I was quite sad that day actually, but upon listening to it, I thought about the lyrics a bit. There were parts of it, like the Monaco part, which we'll go over, but I just thought about how she sat in the shower, and I mean, we all kind of do that as teenagers. We just sit and contemplate.
Yeah. I also was very curious about the title.
Let's go over that. Fingertips. What do we think?
I didn't have much of a significance fingertips because she only says it once.
Exactly.
That's a pattern that's been happening a lot recently with
Peppers. No, wait. Only one time.
Peppers was only once. Fishtail was only once. Sweet was many times.
But usually Lana repeats the chorus, but in this album we've seen less repetition.
The song title repetition.
Well, A&W, not A&W itself, but the full version.
It was repeated.
It was repeated quite a lot. Echoes, all of that.
Yeah, but for a lot of her songs, it's just said once.
Well, I think we also can talk about the significance of fingertips. They're gentle, they're soft, and Lana talks about children later on, which can be described as happiness and a sense of having somebody to care for, which could be a depiction of fingertips and how that evolves into fingertips. However, in the point where she does say fingertips, it's not really applicable to children. We'll go over that.
Their fingertips are rather gentle.
They are rather gentle.
And this is a very gentle song.
Exactly.
Just listening to it.
Yeah,
the topics are not gentle at all. They're heavy and impactful. But the song itself.
For a minute, I thought the story was Lana, our protagonist, narrating her life experiences to a child, her child. which I think will come back in a full circle once we kind of get into more of this song. But it's almost a full circle of her. And you know, when you're talking to a child, you have to be very explanatory, and you have to explain everything very sweetly. So maybe like in her in this child's tween years, we're not going to assume the gender of this child, but in the child's tween years, perhaps she's explaining this story to the child, and fingertips are soft, so it's like she's making it an intimate story, like this is everything that I've experienced. And we'll also go a little bit later of the various experiences and how that might affect a child.
That's a good point you make. And I like the idea of this being like to a child. I like the idea of this being like narrated to a child. I didn't get that analysis. But like for some of it, I could see that being the case.
Yeah, because it's very gentle, naturally. Do you want to say anything else?
Fingertips.
All right.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was just like trying to think.
Fingertips.
Fingertips. Well, fingerprints are on fingertips, and everyone has their individual fingerprints.
Are on fingertips.
Yeah. The deep analysis. Fingerprints are on fingertips, y'all.
Oh, we didn't know that.
Oh my god, revolutionary. But like, they're so individual. Everyone has their own fingerprint. And
own story.
Yeah, own story. And this connects back to the very last line. 2 seconds to be me. Like, to be yourself. So
we could definitely connect that to a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what? Why don't we go over the title in the end?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like
Peppers. We did that in Peppers.
TP cast. Yes.
Well, TP cast, English lesson for you guys.
Start and end with title.
Exactly.
Okay.
TP cast.
So do we want to start with the first thing?
First line. Go
when
ahead.
I look back.
When I look back, so she's contemplating.
That's what I wrote. Reflection. Yeah.
Reflection.
And then I also this I seems really sincere.
I feel like you focused a lot on I. However, I focused on the words that she was saying, because I feel like, once again, she's narrating the story, and when she says when I look back, and that kind of doesn't support the I'm telling a kid a story, but she's kind of thinking about it. And I think when you think about something, it's you having this judgmental view. It's like, oh my god, these are all the things I did wrong. I could have done this better, and I could have done this. And in this case, I feel like she's thinking like that because, and I mean, we'll get into some of the scenes later of how she kind of evolves, her thoughts evolve.
Yeah.
But it's her kind of being judgmental on her past.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next line, tracing fingertips over plastic bags. So I know we both sort of...
we kind of took this in a bad connotation, like we both thought of drugs.
Yeah, I just wrote drugs.
Yeah.
Like, drugs.
Yeah.
And then I went back and revisited this line after going on a bit and thought, like, tracing fingertips is like absent-minded reflection.
Yeah.
Plus the drugs, it's like coming like way down after a high.
Right.
And just like trying to look back at everything you've done and just being like, why, what's wrong?
I think drugs are generally used as an escape. And Lana's a young adult in this story. Like, she's a teenager just like we are. Like, young adults. We are young adults trying to figure out things. And the thing is, when you have these plastic bags that are likely drugs, you have to consider, am I going to do these drugs? Is it a right choice? And sometimes, once again, drugs can be used as an escape, and with that escape, it can cause certain issues, ODs, various consequences that come with it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this song talks about consequences that Lana had, and this is her as an adult thinking about, do I want these consequences of perhaps doing these drugs, plastic bags?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I don't have a super big analysis on this line.
Either.
It actually was very confusing to me in the beginning.
In the beginning, I was like, what does it mean, plastic bags? But then I kind of felt like it could be drugs. So the next line, thinking, we'll group the next two. Yeah?
Okay, let's go.
Is that fine? Thinking, I wish I could extrapolate some small intention, or maybe get your attention for a minute or two.
Well, let me just say that I love the word extrapolate. I think it's so fun to say.
Extrapolate.
Extrapolate.
It is so fun.
Okay.
And this line is really what kicked off my analysis.
I'm not sure. I like this line a lot, but I feel like my analysis really kicked off like really late in the story, and then I like went back and I was like, connect. But why don't you share?
Okay. So in this, like, thinking, I wish I could extrapolate some small intention. Or maybe get your attention for a minute or two. I was like analyzing this, and at first I thought it was like her talking to a love interest and the usual like, do you want to marry me, like whatever, same thing as sweet. But then I reread it and thought, what if she's talking to her fans?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of took it like that too.
So like I wish, because extrapolate is like using past trends or like other data to figure out an unknown.
That's the definition of extrapolate.
Yeah.
We should have defined extrapolate.
Yeah, sorry. But
well,
like,
okay, so
it's her like trying to figure out what the people want from her. Like, do they actually like her music? Do they like her as a person? And then get your attention for a minute or two. It's like that's what she wanted at the beginning, was like the attention.
I think I took it in a very similar way. So in reiteration, extrapolate is using past data to kind of assert something else. So by saying, I wish I could extrapolate some small intention, she's saying, well, you liked me when I talked about old men and various other drugs and like dancing at parties and stuff. So I hope you also listen to me when, like, I hope I get your attention with this song, even if it's just for a minute or two. Like, I'm telling you my real story here. Please listen to me. Like, I want you to hear me out. I want you to see me for who I really am, which is almost the kind of the moral of this story, I think.
Yeah. Just need 2 seconds. Like, it's very much like...
And we come back to that later at the very last line.
Yeah.
I think this is a very powerful line, actually. Like,
I would agree.
I wish I could extrapolate. Like, she wishes that at least I could, like, based on past trends, I hope that you have some sort of care towards me. And Lana, by the way, we do. This song, one of your best songs of all time, I have to say. Lyrically, so good.
And your point actually connects to later analysis.
Yeah.
But this is why I think she's communicating through her fans.
Right. I think the song sort of starts with fans, then it goes to the Dave part, which we'll go over, and then I think it's a little bit of Aaron Green and then back to the fans. But you also mentioned haters, so... We'll get into that.
Later when she references they.
Yeah.
This is what, like, the people, not necessarily haters, per se. It's like... the media and how the people report on her.
I can see that.
And like the people who have created this negative public image, this like...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and she says also some small intention, just a little bit, like an intention to understand who she really is. And it's just for a minute or two, so it's not even the whole thing. Just like listen to a single thing I'm saying. Like you could benefit from even listening to one thing that I'm saying. Lana is that powerful, guys. Yeah,
Lana's like she just wants to extrapolate some small intention and figure out whether her fans care about her. Yeah, because they like her. Yeah, or because like they like the beat. I feel like Off to the Races. Exactly. Or like they like the cool vibe or the vibe, whatever.
See, I think Lana has been depicted as a certain image, like she's been depicted as this bad indie girl, but really Lana has gone through a lot of issues and past trauma, and nobody can really recognize that she doesn't do all the things that she does, like just for this attention. Like once again, you said like it started off with attention, but really she's just this person like trying to share her story and trying to like make her voice heard.
And now that she's finally doing that, and like we thought the song was boring.
Yeah, we thought the song was
boring. Which is probably what she's talking about with this.
Yeah, but I have to say this is one of my favorite tracks of Lana of all time. Like it's just so powerful.
Maybe the melody is not the maybe it doesn't sound like.
But actually, now that I've listened to it a few times,
it's not that it's bad. I really like the way it sounds.
So pretty.
It may not be Bel Air or Off to the Races or like something.
Yeah. Like there's no
flashy or showy
VB, but
like something that hits you in the face. It may not be that, but when you actually listen to it and appreciate it for like what it says.
It's one of those songs that everyone can really kind of grow from.
Yeah. Okay, so the next
line. We've been focusing too much on that last line.
Will I die or will I get to that 10-year mark?
Oh my god. Okay. This is the first part where we kind of start at like the suicide kind of part of this, but I don't think we've really like asserted yet that it's suicide. So it's just like, will I be able to see these experiences? Will I be able to get all of these experiences? And I think in a way it's Lana saying, can I trust myself with myself? Like, can I handle it if these issues come to me? Will I be able to live with myself and not end up like how I was at 15? We'll go over that later. But or will she get to that 10-year mark, you know, that mark of 10 years where she at least achieves something, she can look back at her past work. She's really interesting. I just hope that Lana becomes one of the best. She's one of the greatest artists of our eras, right? Taylor, Lana.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, what do you think?
This line, so I didn't hit, like, the analysis of the phrase "will I die" didn't mean anything to me until I was just, like, right now looking past my analysis.
Right.
And
it kind of all clicks now.
Yeah. Because if she's talking to her fans, I think that this "will I die," she's talking about, like, will I die in terms of her career?
Oh.
Will I become obsolete and unsuccessful?
That's very interesting.
Will my fans leave me? Or will I get to that 10-year mark? And this 10-year mark thing, I have a lot of analysis on this 10-year mark. Because her first big album was Born to Die, right? I think. Released in 2012, which is exactly a decade before Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard was recorded. In 2022.
Good point.
So I think she's talking about, like, her 10-year career.
Right, yeah. Similar to, actually, I recall a few years ago, last year, my civics teacher, she said something very important, like, about the music industry. She said, artists that generally write their own songs last longer in the music industry, which kind of, like, I thought about it, and she used the example of Taylor Swift, and, you know, we love Taylor Swift. We'll be doing a series about her later on, coming up soon.
At least one.
At least one. We're gonna do so many, actually. We love Taylor Swift.
We do.
But artists like Taylor Swift, who writes her own songs, she's lasted so long in the music industry, so I think that's a similar thing that is coming up here with Lana. Lana also writes a lot of her own music. I think pretty much all of her music is written by her, produced by some people, but
you know,
it's her own original music.
It's her.
Yeah. And I think that's just important because I would like to see Lana at that 10-year mark. However, I think this song is almost a resigning off, just in my opinion. We'll get to that later. We're getting to everything later.
I mean, I definitely went into this with you having already said that. So, like, I could definitely pick it up. But I can't tell if I can pick it up.
Well, you know what? That's why we're sharing it.
Yeah. You know, because I can definitely see.
So that's about it that we have for the 10-year mark. Just like, once again, will Lana be obsolete?
Yeah. Will she become obsolete? Because the music industry, it can be really hard to survive.
It's a crazy. I know I actually have a few friends who are interested, and you know, it's something that you really have to go through. But moving on. Next line.
Yeah. This line. I know you talked a lot about this line.
This line initially confused me, but I feel like I figured.
So do you want to go first?
No. My explanation is crazy.
Okay.
Okay. Well, will I beat the extinction of telomeres? Go.
Okay, so telomeres are bits of DNA at the end of chromosomes that really serve no purpose, and so we thought they were useless until we cloned organisms and they did not have telomeres and they died premature deaths because the telomeres actually protect the DNA from damage, and naturally they wear out, but you have a much longer lifespan with telomeres. And I think that these are not actual telomeres. I think they're metaphorical telomeres. The telomeres of her career.
Okay.
Because they're like, I'm not sure what they stand for. Because I can't quite visualize that analysis. But like,
it's very
extinction of telomeres. Because they're not there. And in case, unless she was cloned, I think it means like, there's no protection in the music industry.
Oh, that's very interesting.
One day you're it, and then the next day you can be done for the rest of your life.
There are some great examples of that. Like, I remember Carly Rae Jepsen was all in. Britney Spears, I mean, she's still kind of relevant, but you know,
one day you're just not. So like, you have no telomeres protecting you or your music from like the strain of time passing and society changing. So will she have a successful long career without protection? Because it's hard.
See, you just made the most valid analysis, while mine was absolutely deranged.
Well, now I'm curious.
Okay, so telomeres, like Charlotte just said, are the little protections at the end of your chromosomes. And I took this in a very sci-fi approach.
Oh.
If telomeres never existed, right?
Mhm.
It's rather than the extinction, I took it really as if they never existed. If there was no such thing as telomeres, then people would kind of almost live forever because there's no extinction of telomeres that just like, oh, bye-bye, I'm going away now. So there's no extinction of telomeres, so basically you're living forever. And since this song has connotations of suicide, Lana would live forever and would no longer need to protect herself from suicide.
Oh.
And she would no longer need to be thinking about like, oh, I might kill myself because I'm going through these hard times or these harsh times. So instead, it's her not having to worry about it because she beat the extinction of telomeres.
That's such an interesting analysis. I like that.
It's so sci-fi.
Oh, I love sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi gang. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay, so the next line. And if I do, will you be there with me, father, sister, brother? I have an interesting analysis.
Well, she doesn't mention her mother, but
yes.
I'll go first because I took this in a very straightforward analysis once again. It's just like, will you be there with me? And I think this is almost a doubt because throughout this song, I initially told you that my one word was like abandonment. Didn't I say that?
Yeah.
Now I said it's Lizzie, but I initially said that it was abandonment because a lot of people abandon her in this song, and we see that her mother abandons her to some extent. Dave, Aaron, and I think her best friend also abandons her. We'll go over that.
Okay.
I'll explain that. But this song is all about abandonment, and I think because Lana talks about her own suicide attempt, it's her like contemplatively thinking, ironically, which is what they say there's irony in the music. It's her ironically thinking like, oh, will you leave me too? Like, will you leave? Are you gonna be gone as well? So it's just like a rhetorical almost question that she's like almost ironically like asking them like this deeper meaning of like, will you leave me? Will you leave me?
It's interesting.
It's almost like a beg, like don't leave me.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, you go.
So for this line, I had already established that I think that the you she addresses is the fans. So I think she first asked the fans like, are you gonna stick with me for 10 years of a career?
Right.
Are you gonna like continue to listen to my music and support me? Are you still gonna be my fans? Even after all this time, all this music, what if I don't deliver to what you're expecting? Will you still be there? And then she like almost turns metaphorically to her father and her sister and her brother, who have all like helped her out in her career. Like sung with her or produced for her, taken photographs for her. And like, will they still be a family? Will they still be there for her? So I think this is like early in her career. This is what she worries about.
Yeah. Like will you be there to support me? I feel like support is a big thing, especially in this industry. Like even if I fail, even if I invested so much money, even if I fail, will you still be on my side? Because with the abandonment of her mother and that past trauma of her trying to go in this industry, it's very painful for people to just leave you like that. So I think our analyses kind of connect in a way.
They do connect, yeah.
All right.
The next,
Charlie stopped smoking. Once again, irony in the music.
I took this very literally.
Oh, okay. Well, I took it literally as well, but why don't you go first?
So like, I just took it as her brother, and she's like, don't smoke.
Yeah.
Don't smoke because it kills you.
Right.
And she's like caring for everyone. She's like, I don't want anyone else to die.
Well, we know that Lana vapes, also smokes, because in Candy Necklace, like I think the first thing, and also in Did You Know the Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard, I'm pretty sure she like it starts with a vape, like her like taking a like what is it called? Taking a hit on the vape.
I thought she was just exhaling, but I didn't.
Oh.
I thought she was like calmly breathing.
I took this in a horrible way, but
because it's like almost a calming song. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like just like a like an exhale.
Yeah, exhale. Well, I took it like she was. Well, since Lana vapes and smokes, she knows that it could kill her. But then she says there's irony in the music because Charlie's smoking, and it's ironic because you would think somebody who doesn't smoke would encourage someone else to stop smoking, but she continues smoking. But then she tells her brother not to smoke.
Yeah.
Maybe because she doesn't want to see him going through that pain.
Yeah. I mean, this is her little brother too.
Right.
I mean, this is her little brother too.
Yeah.
Like both Caroline and Charlie are the younger siblings.
Right. And I think it's like her definitely caring for them, but at this point I feel like she stopped caring for herself, and she kind of is like, don't leave, even if I leave, I want you to be here, I want you to live a great life.
Yeah.
And that's basically
And that's the next one. Caroline, will you be with me?
Caroline, will you be with me? Well, I guess Caroline doesn't smoke.
No.
Well, it's just her asking her sister.
Yeah.
Will you be with me? Like, I want you to be there to support me. In your context, career.
Yeah, she has worked with Lana for a lot of her career.
Yeah.
As photo shoots and all that stuff.
Right.
Will the baby be alright?
Well, Caroline has a child.
Yeah. Phoenix.
2021. I think she has a child. And will the baby be alright? I took that in the context of, well, we see Lana, while she was a young teenager, go through a lot of bad stuff. So I think it's in the environment that they're in, will the baby be alright? Like, will the kid turn out like me, messed up, as what Lana depicts here?
That's very much what I could say.
I think we had a similar analysis here. But, or like, will the baby be alright?
Yeah.
Will the baby have a good life? Will the baby not have to deal with all of this abandonment that I did? And,
especially because, like, Caroline, will you be with me?
Right.
Like, will you be around me?
Right.
And if the baby's exposed to, like, Lana Del Rey,
she might have to.
Yeah.
But Lana...
I think Lana's very caring.
Yeah.
And, like, even though people say
sure.
she's not maternal.
I think Lana actually, she's very good with children, apparently, like, based on interviews and various interactions. And, in fact, Lana does want a child, which we get
we get to it very soon.
Very soon.
So, do we want to go into the next?
Next line.
Okay. So the next line is, will I have one of mine?
Well, child.
Child, yeah. And, well, I think we can group the next 2 lines, actually.
Wait, what's the next? I can barely read what's
Can I handle it even if I do? Like,
Right.
will I have one of mine? Can I handle it even if I do?
Well, we know that a lot of people have told Lana that she's not capable of having a child due to Lana's reputation.
And her past.
Right, exactly. So, and due to her, like, all of these things that we know about her being, like a lot of people call Lana a lot of names, and they believe that because she lives this lifestyle, she won't be able to have a sustainable child who's living a healthy childhood.
Yeah, and this is very much like, I think this is very much her reflecting on all, like, taking in that, she's like, will I have one of mine? It's almost like there's a hidden desire.
Right.
There's a hidden desire there for children that she's not admitting to herself because she doesn't want to feel the pain and disappointment of, like, wanting something and hoping for something and having people tell her that it's...
that you can't do this, like, you're not capable of having a child. And I think it's just, like, kind of, like, her sad thing. And because Caroline is her younger sister, it kind of hurts when you're the older sister and, like, you have not had those experiences that your younger sister has as, like, a maternal experience, right? So there's, like, a sadness in that.
Yeah, and she seems to doubt herself.
Yeah. Like,
not because, like, maybe not necessarily because she thinks she doesn't have it in her. I think it's because people have told her that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're not capable of this. And then, do you have anything else to say?
No,
that's
connecting it to the
next line. Wait, we all just said, can I handle it? Right?
So that's when you said that.
You said that I might. So once again, Caroline. This is addressing Caroline.
Oh, you had it addressing Caroline.
Yeah. At some point she addresses Caroline. At some point she addresses Dave. And then later on she claims they, which we all agree. Well, you said it's haters, but I think it's fans. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into.
We'll
this.
get
it's not fair, or so they said. Well, okay.
Well,
so
yeah. It's like you said that I might. Like Caroline has trust in Lana, and I think because they have that sister-sister relationship.
Of course. Like, the younger sister's always
the younger sister is gonna be like, but you took care of me, and I have trust in you, I have faith in you. She's gonna hype her up. She's gonna be like, yes, I believe in you. Go, my sister.
See, I think I took this you as in fans.
Right.
Because, like, us as fans, we whenever we heard, like...
we will always be hype Lana up.
Yeah, like, we think that she could. We imagine her...
Lana is
very idolized, and we can imagine, like, she seems maternal. At least some fans might have told her that you can do it despite what the haters like.
And we were talking about this earlier, and we said that Lana is very humane due to this song. So even though we view Lana as an idol, we view her as almost a realistic idol, somebody who tells storytelling and gives us the truth and lessons to be learned, right?
Yeah. And I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the next line, it's not fair, or so they said.
Well, the they in this could be
carry a child. This is like the media and the public that doesn't support her.
Right. But I also think it could be her mom.
Oh, interesting.
Well, they is plural, right?
Yeah.
But it can also be used in a singular context.
Her mom and the
pronouns.
doctors.
Yeah, or so they said, you're so deranged, you're so, not capable, incapable, that we don't think you'd be able to have a child. It's not fair. And they use the word fair because it's not fair that you might be leading this child into a certain life. And that's why she goes into talking about Caroline's daughter and saying, will the baby
be okay?
Yeah.
I got this. I saw it very much as the media.
Right.
It's portraying her as this drunk, drug obsessed.
Yeah.
Nymphomaniac or whatever. But however she's portrayed.
Exactly. Nobody in the media sees that Lana has become this person because of the past trauma that she explains in this song.
As a lot of celebrities, I don't think that the media ever portrays her as a person.
Yeah,
she's Lana Del Rey. She's the singer. She's whatever they're writing the headline about. Something that's gonna catch.
Tabloids.
Yeah, tabloids. And because of her past and all the things that happened, which she talks about wasn't her idea. Very soon, it's they told her she shouldn't have children because she can't, but she could.
Exactly, and then that goes into the next line, to carry a child. We should have grouped that together because it's not fair, so they said, to carry a child, directly saying that you're not capable of it. And then that goes into, I guess I'll be fine. It's her resortment.
Yeah, it's she's resigned herself.
Yeah, she's I don't, at this point, what can I do about it? I can't convince you otherwise. I'm trying to convince you with this song. I told you I want to extrapolate some small intention, but you have to listen to me for that.
Fine is never fine.
Especially in girl code.
I guess I'll be fine is never a positive thing. You hear that and you think, oh no.
And I guess. Whatever.
Not only is she saying, I'll be fine, she's I guess I'll be fine. Which is so...
Dudes, if you hear a girl say, I guess I'll be fine.
No.
Go.
No.
Go.
Either run
all
for your life or comfort. I don't know.
Seriously.
Be there.
Do something. You gotta do something now. Because that just means
take immediate action. I guess I'll be fine is massive.
Not I will be fine.
A massive warning.
Truly. And then that goes into, it wasn't my idea. The cocktails of things that twist neurons inside. Oh, but without them, I die, right?
Yeah.
We can just group that.
Yeah. So this I got as addiction. Because at 14 years old, she had alcoholism.
Yeah, and then we hear that in Carmen as well, where she's lying to yourself because her liquor's top shelf. And I think Carmen is only 17, but she walks the streets so mean.
Yeah. I don't know though, if Lana Del Rey ever had a drug problem.
Oh yeah. Perhaps, but I think that's a reputation that Lana has.
It's definitely a reputation because a lot of the songs. Right, and that's how the media is going to take it, of course. Not as stories, but it's... I don't know. But I definitely got it as addiction because, without them, I'd die.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't my idea, so that's coercion. Because she was young.
Exactly.
She was really
coercion. Young. I think it wasn't her idea to get into it. She just got roped into it. And along with that, we should mention that she went to live with her aunt in Miami, right? At some point in her life, and that's how she got into music. She was a waitress. Then I think she was living, I might be wrong, so don't quote me or anything. Of course, don't quote us on any of this stuff. But I think she went to go live with her aunt in Miami, and that's where Del Rey came from. And then that led her into her music career. And this whole thing is it wasn't my idea. I didn't intend. I didn't go to Miami and we'll get into how she got to Miami, but she didn't intend to go there I'm gonna become a musician. Obviously, Lana did have a passion, but ultimately it wasn't her idea to get so far into it and start writing music about these certain topics.
I like that analysis. It's an interesting analysis.
Yeah.
I got it as just like teenage peer pressure because like at 14
No,
years
I
old.
get that. Yeah. Is it 14 or 15 or 16?
Okay, so like she was, according to my research, she was sent away to get sober from alcoholism at 14.
Oh, okay.
So like before that, you just started being a teenager and someone's gonna offer you like, you already have a complicated relationship with your family, and probably like
a lot of other things. Probably a lot of other things.
Problems.
That she's experiencing.
Well, not like problems, but I mean like things in your life that
issues. For sure.
And then like someone offers you a drink.
Yeah. And I think she got so addicted that once again, without them, I die. Because like now she's contemplating, she's thinking like, but without them, I die. I wouldn't be here. I
would feel the pain.
Yeah, I would feel the pain, and it's just not adequate anymore. And that's kind of a sad line that she says, without them, I die. Like, the dependency that she has. It's crazy.
Okay, so this one, they said there's irony in the music. It's a tragedy. And then the next line, we can probably group.
Well,
we could. Okay, for my analysis, it's grouped, but maybe not.
Okay, yeah, so I'll start, because for mine it's not. Well, I mentioned multiple times that this line kind of connects throughout this whole song, but I think a lot of parts in Lana's music, she talks about, like, all of these drugs and men and stuff, and then now in this song, she's finally coming out and she's saying, like, it wasn't my idea, I didn't intend on doing all of this, but this is just who I became, but let me show you the real me. And it's a tragedy that her career has come to this point. Now I'll let you go. That was pretty short.
So they say there's irony in the music. It's a tragedy. Like this is, I think this is not necessarily haters, but it's more like the media, like misinterpreting her songs.
Yeah.
They say that's ironic that she's singing all this, or it's tragic, and it's taking the meaning out of context. Like, you took my sentence out of context.
You took my sentence out of context. It's the narrative's part.
But, like, it's just misinterpretation. They don't see what her work means to her.
Exactly.
They're seeing it as, like, this ironic thing, or tragedy,
Precisely.
like, Greek tragedy. But that's why she says, I see nothing Greek in it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not some grand Greek tragedy with a moral and life lessons and muses and all that stuff. It's just my story. It's just what I'm singing about.
Well, for I See Nothing Greek in It, I first searched up, like, I see nothing Greek in it, and then this phrase came up, which you hear quite often. It's all Greek to me. And that basically means, like, I can't understand any of it. So the word Greek kind of translated to, like, I can't see why this is an issue. Like, I'm just writing music. How personally do you take this? But in this song, when she says listen to me, people don't listen to her. People don't see that it's like a story about her life.
Yeah I would agree with that.
Yeah
And like
it's very sad to talk about the song sometimes.
She doesn't want people to see it as some sort of great tragedy. That's at least what I got. Okay. Give me a mausoleum in Rhode Island with Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dave.
Well, let's first state that Grandma, Grandpa, and Dad are pretty old people relatively. Yeah. Like they're old enough to die in like due time, because I mean that's reality, right? Like older people. Yeah, and her grandma, grandpa, we don't know. I never researched if they're alive or if they're dead.
I couldn't find anything on them.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, they're close and they're living their last few years. Yeah. They're relatively old. And then Dave.
Dave is already dead.
Well, let's also talk about the mausoleum. Mausoleum. I can never say that word. That's a memorial.
Right. It's like a tomb. It's a tomb. Oftentimes, the whole family is grouped in there.
Right.
So, like, this is familial closeness.
Right, and we know her dad is actually a musician. Yeah. So, I mean, her whole family has come from musical backgrounds. So, I mean, they deserve getting this mausoleum. And now we'll go back to Dave, who, I'm pretty sure he was a fisherman. He was partially a fisherman. He did fishing.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he did. Why don't you give us some background on that?
I don't know what else he did other than, like, he was a fisherman.
Okay.
I couldn't find much on him.
Yeah, Dave, we'll get into some of his, like stuff that happened. But yeah, Dave was an important person in Lana's life. That was her uncle. And that kind of goes into the next line. And she says, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dave, who hung himself real high.
Yeah. It's interesting, she doesn't say mother. And we already know that.
Exactly.
She hasn't seen her mother in a long time.
She hasn't seen her mother in a long time.
And she does not have... I mean, like...
I'm sorry.
We don't... It looks as though she doesn't have a good relationship with her mother.
Yeah, I think at a point she says, I'm not friends with my mother, but I'm still close with my dad or something like that. Yeah, she said some line like that in some song. I can't recall which one. But Black Bathing Suit? Maybe. Yeah, Black Bathing Suit, I think.
So, who hung himself real
I
high?
have a lot of analysis.
So, do you want to go first?
Okay, let's see. So, we know that Dave, he climbed a mountain. Like, he went to the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, and I personally think it was for some retreat. I don't know exactly why he was climbing the mountains, but he did. And I think hung himself real high is a way of saying, like, oh, you hang yourself, it's suicide. But since Dave climbed the mountains and he died on the top of the Rocky Mountains where he climbed them, it was almost reaching his peak and then kind of dying. But who hung himself real high, he went to the mountains for some like spiritual awakening and then kind of was there and he hung himself real high. He died at a high point. And then later we see that Dave was committing suicide, but we'll get into that later. I've been saying that way too much. But yeah, he went real high in the mountains, and he died there, even though he was committing suicide, and then he went to this to almost like find himself, not with the intention of dying for once, and then like he ended up dying.
Yeah, I don't think that he actually hung himself on a mountain as the method of death.
Yeah, like it wasn't his intention to like commit suicide on a mountain, and he didn't even commit suicide, he died by nature climbing that mountain, right? I don't know the exact semantics or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how he died.
There wasn't a lot of information. I mean, of course, we're just going off of whatever we saw on the internet.
Hung himself real high in the national park.
Well, National Park, Rocky Mountains.
Rocky Mountain National Park, yeah. That's where he died.
I think somewhere in like some Wikipedia page it says like he climbed the Rocky Mountains at some point, and like the hung himself real high is like going up real high, and like he hung himself, meaning he wanted to hang out there, but since it's a reference to suicide because he was initially committing suicide, and with this climbing of the mountain, he didn't intend to he didn't intend to die. For once, he wanted to use this as like a spiritual like way of really getting himself back, just like Lana does throughout the song, and he ended up dead, just like Aaron Green. So it's kind of like a sad moment to like hear about this, and she kind of says this like very slowly and softly, and in the national park, and it's a shame that I'm crying right now. I mean, she probably like heard that her uncle died. She's confused. She's like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Anything you would like to add?
Well, I noted the phrase like, it's a shame.
It's a shame.
It sounds so unsympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, this is her uncle who, if she's moved to tears, like, she can't say more than
it's a shame.
It's a shame. Yeah. But also, like, since this whole thing seems very much like reflection, in the song we see a lot of 2 seconds to cry. Only 2 seconds.
Only 2 seconds.
But I'm crying right now.
She's trying to be strong.
Yeah, I'm crying right now. It shows like there's been a release.
Yeah. It's a shame.
After only crying 2 seconds for so long, she finally releases, and like she's crying right now. She's actually crying. I
never really analyzed the 2 seconds to cry, but I think when she says it's a shame, it's like what Dave deserved to live. That's what she's saying. And she's like, it's a shame, and I'm crying because it's so hard to go through so much abandonment. And I don't know what point of this life, like what point of her life this is when Dave climbed that mountain, but it's like, oh my God, this is a point of realization where she's like, oh my God. Would you like to say anything else?
Only that I'm crying right now. I connect it to the beginning of the next line. I'm crying right now, for my analysis, connects to the next line. So the next line is, to get to you, save you if I take my life. So What do you have for that?
Well, she's basically saying, like, she's, like, reflecting once again. She's thinking about Dave, and she's like, oh my god, what if I could save Dave? Like, I'm just thinking about, like, he deserves to live. If I get to save you, I'm fine with going myself. Like, I will allow you to live because you're more worth than me. Like, she's demeaning her own worthness because her own, like, not credibility, like, her own value because she thinks that everyone else is more valuable than her.
That's interesting. So the I'm crying right now connects to get to you,
right?
Because, like, the you in this, I took it very much as, like, her audience, the
right.
people who listen to her music and resonate with it. Like, she's crying to reach the fans, because the fans are all sad and going through their own problems. And the fact that she's also sad and going through issues means that she's able to connect with them.
Oh, okay.
To save you if I take my life. Like, taking the sadness out of context. People find solace in hearing her sing about things that they've gone through or are going through.
Okay.
And that saves them. So, like, by her singing about taking her life, and, like, by her being sad, and at that point where she needs some sort of outlet to express these feelings, she saves other people.
Right. I think it's also well, actually I don't have much to say about this anymore. Do you want to move on to the next one? Well, then she says, find your astral body, put it into my eyes. And
I'm gonna admit I don't like this lyric.
Really?
Put it into my eyes.
What?
Like,
Oh my god, I have so much analysis on it.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't like it because I don't like the way it sounds.
I love it.
It's like the puppy.
Oh. Puppy and Peppers.
Yeah, for me this is like
Pepper's
the
puppy.
equivalent of the Pepper's puppy.
Really?
Because I'm just like thinking about stars and this majestic astral body, and then you're just like shoving it in your eye.
Wow.
Like,
I thought this was so poetic, actually.
Oh, really?
Well, would you like to start, or should I?
Well, mine is pretty straightforward. So
Okay. Well, astral body is kind of one who's intelligent and contemplative and, like, nirvana, all of that. Like, there's a lot of spiritual meaning towards that. So I think she's representing Dave as this very insightful person, and once again, like, giving a lot of value to Dave. And then she's saying, put it into my eyes, as in, I want to see why Dave climbed that mountain. I want to see what led to him choosing that he wanted. I want to see his spiritual, like, awakening that he got from the mountain that led him to, like, die on this mountain. It's, like, so tragic.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why it was insightful for me. But you can go
I
ahead.
get that. I definitely, like, didn't analyze the eyes lyrics because I was like,
Right.
I mean, I did analyze it, but I was like, I don't get. It's not that it doesn't connect. It's just like I don't like it. I don't like it. But find your astral body, because astral body is, like, very much not physical.
Right.
It's like this spiritual abstract concept of a body, and I took that as, like, if she's talking to her fans, then all of them collectively wouldn't have one body. They would have, like, that's how I took it. It's like the astral body is all of her fans.
Yeah.
And by putting it into her eyes, I don't know.
I see what you're
It's
saying.
like keeping it. I at first thought it was keeping it close, like skinny dipping in my mind.
Oh, okay.
Sort of equivalent, not necessarily that. But now I'm seeing it's like you could view things from their perspective. But I don't know what significance that has.
Okay, I see what you're saying. That kind of goes into give you 2 seconds to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to say?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's like, because she sings very sad songs, and her listeners can cry to those songs.
Yeah.
And so she's like giving you a minute to just take 2 seconds out of your life and cry to this sad music.
Oh, okay.
And feel hopefully better, if not at least feel heard. So do you have anything for this?
Well, I mean, I would kind of say, like, this is going, I think this whole part is about Dave. Okay.
Oh, I can see that.
Well, what I said here was, she's giving him 2 seconds to cry because she's, like, almost figuring out this whole thing. Like, he finally gets a view, she's finding his body, right? The body from the mountain. The, like, dead body. That, like, I can just only imagine how grotesque that is. Okay. And, like, she's taking that body and she's almost, like, realiving it. I don't know what's the word for it. I can't think of it right now. But she's almost like giving life back to that body, and he's like, I don't know if he would be blessed or if he would feel like upset, or like, we don't know the emotions that he might be feeling. So giving him 2 seconds to cry, either happy crying or upset crying or some sort of emotion outpour from Dave.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I can definitely see this section being about Dave. Like, I get that.
Yeah, there are definitely multiple. I really love your analysis on, like, being the fans. Like, it makes sense with her sad music. I want to give my fans a few seconds to contemplate over what I'm saying and like think about it. Like
cry.
Exactly.
Just cry.
Like, and I mean, me and you, we're like, oh my god.
So the next line could potentially be grouped the next two, but for just the next one, take you home, I'll give you a blanket.
Your spirit can sit and watch TV by my side.
Yeah. So do you have an analysis for this one? I mean, if it's Dave.
It's Dave.
Yeah.
So once again, she's taking this body of his and she's taking him home to their home. She's like literally taking his like whole life and bringing it back home. I'll give you a blanket because he was on the mountains, right? So he's gonna be cold, and that's gonna make him warm. That's gonna make him feel at home, and then she's gonna, like, your spirit can sit and watch TV. Watching TV is just like a random act.
Yeah.
I feel like I would do that with my sisters.
Yeah.
So it's just like a random act that you just do with somebody you're just close with, and it's just a fun time, right? Like
It's just like therapeutic to just sit there and watch TV by someone.
And it's just
sitting in a blanket.
Yeah. And it's like maybe do that.
Yeah.
But like, just sitting by your side watching TV, it's like very comforting. It's a comfort activity. You binge watch your favorite show, and that there's so much deep meaning. It's just a leisure activity.
Watching TV by someone, there are so many things that aren't said.
Exactly.
Especially if you're both like having issues and you just watch this television that could be mindless. Yeah. Mindless television, and you just sit there
forensic files
in silence, just having this understanding pass between you. Yeah. I obviously don't have you as Dave in this part. Yeah. So I have it as the fans, and like, I think this is her trying to care for her fans, because the fact that they're relating to her music means that they're also going through issues, and seeing as she's gone through stuff herself, she probably doesn't want that. Right. And she's like, I'm gonna take you home with me. Yeah. I want to be there to comfort you. And then the way she says "I," like, that always took me. It struck me as something very, very interesting. Like, the way she just says "I," it shows almost hesitation. Like, she doesn't know what to do, because she wasn't raised in the I'm not gonna say she wasn't raised in the most caring household, but like, there were childhood traumas, issues, abandonment, right? And so she doesn't have this role model necessarily of like how to comfort someone very effectively. She's like, I'll give you a blanket, and she's showing her maternal instincts that come from being an older sister.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
I see where this is all coming through.
I'll give you a blanket. So these are like, she does have maternal instincts. She just doesn't show them as much. Exactly. And then your spirit can sit and watch TV by my side. That's such like an older sister thing to do, like what
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
It's like caring older sisters. They
Exactly.
just let's watch TV together and
Yeah,
forget all of the stuff.
Yeah. Like it's just like a fun little activity that you do.
She's just like recognizing her fans are going through things, and she's like, I want to care for you because I don't want you to have to go through this pain because I know it's terrible.
Yeah. And then she says, because baby, I ran through a time where I felt you were doing it.
Yeah.
Which I think, I was thinking about Dave again. Like, I thought Dave was actually committing suicide, so she was nervous when he climbed up that mountain. And she viewed it as he hung himself real high because she knew Dave was committing suicide. She knew Dave was in a vulnerable spot. So that's why she depicted Dave dying on the mountain, even though he did commit suicide in that point. Like, as almost with connotations of committing suicide.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have for that analysis.
Okay, so, well,
What's your analysis on
my
this line?
my analysis on this line is obviously to the fans. I took this as like there was a time when she felt like her fans were there for her, and she was there for her fans through her music. Like through her music, through what she was saying and putting out to the world.
Yeah.
People were relating, and so the fans found solace in that, and she found solace in the fact that people were relating to her, and it was almost as if they were like bonding together like the television. Just her and her fans.
Right. So now we're gonna talk about the best part of the song, the Monaco verse. Monaco verse. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna be able.
It's so good. It's so good.
We already discussed it a little bit in
Oh my
the
God.
BTS. Roll back.
Okay.
Okay. Wait, can we just recite this line because it's so
Oh my God.
beautiful, like the verse actually. Okay.
Well,
she says,
I couldn't handle.
Okay, so, I couldn't handle it. I was in Monaco. I couldn't hear what they said on the telephone. I had to sing for the prince in 2 hours. Sat in the shower, gave myself 2 seconds to cry. It's a shame that we died.
Okay, this.
And then that goes into the next verse, which is
Yeah.
like even more emotional.
Your analysis of the next verse is actually insane.
Well, do you
Oh my
think you
God.
want to elaborate? Well, do you want to like add to my analysis, or do you have your own thing that you would like to share as well?
I mean,
We can all like kind
mine
of.
was so different.
Mhm.
It was like so choppy because I couldn't figure out.
Well, do you want to still
Sure.
share that? I think it might be like significant.
So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna share this what I have. but
Well,
I'm just like
you can go first, and then I'll go in with my totally different analysis.
Monaco, like in 2016, she was in Monaco
Right.
when her uncle died,
Exactly.
and she gets the call saying that he died, and she can't process it. And
Oh wait, wasn't the call actually like saying that we found his body?
I don't know what the call was.
Oh, I thought the call was like she
my
knew
res-
he died, but the
my
call was-
research didn't. I couldn't find
okay.
anything to say what the call was. Only that like
Oh. Interesting.
the time overlapped in some way.
Oh, I thought. See, because this is what I thought. I thought Dave died earlier in her life, like in her adolescence years, but they only found his body when she was in Monaco.
No, because I think Dave died in 2016. Like I think that's what
Oh,
his
really?
official death date is, like 2016.
Okay.
So I think, but I do think that like in some ways, he lost part of himself.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I think. Well, Lana also lost part of herself.
Yeah, that is part of my analysis on later.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then why don't we just like go through this whole verse for
Yeah.
you?
So then she had this performance at the Red Cross
Mhm.
Gala.
Oh, okay. I didn't really go into that. I
Yeah.
just knew she sang for the
When
prince.
she was in Monaco,
Mhm.
there was a performance at a Red Cross Gala with the prince. I don't know what prince. There's a prince.
There's a
Who
prince.
knows?
Who knows?
But she had to sing for the prince at this
Mhm.
gala. And so she sits in the shower. She was like getting ready, but she can't focus because she just
Yeah.
got the news that her uncle.
I couldn't hear what they said on the telephone.
Yeah, she can't process it. So
Mhm.
she's like sitting in the shower crying, but she's only giving herself 2 seconds to cry.
Yeah.
It's like she's not letting herself properly process the grief
Yeah.
and take the time to like.
Her uncle died.
My uncle just died. She's like, you can cry for 2 seconds, and now I have to go be put together and
Mhm.
sing. And because she's on a time limit, and she not only is she on a time limit with the prince, she's also like giving herself that time limit so she
Right.
doesn't lose
Exactly.
herself.
And then, would you like to say anything else?
it's a shame that we die. I took that very straightforward.
Yeah.
Like it's just
a shame that we die. It's like her reflecting on that. It's like she wants to be apathetic. I feel like it's her inner apathy. She's like, I want to be apathetic, and then 2 seconds cry.
Yeah, it's the same as like before when it talked about Dave hanging himself high in the national park sky. She says it's a shame, and it sounds so unsympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a shame.
That's a shame.
You don't sound like you care all that much, and I think it definitely can sound like
so much.
Puts distance so you don't have to feel the pain.
Yeah, it's like almost isolating it.
Yeah.
Isolate the variable.
X equals unresult. Okay. Anyway.
Alright,
what's your analysis? Cause
oh my god. Okay, we're gonna start on some real insane stuff here. Alright. So, I mean, obviously what you said, she couldn't handle it. She was in Monaco. She figured out the news of her uncle dying. She had to sing for the Prince in 2 hours. I didn't go into the gala or all that. I'm just learning this from you, which is great because that's the whole point of this
sharing
thing.
it. It's like
sharing it, all putting together pieces. We make our own revelations. So she had to sing for this Prince in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then once she's getting this news, she's sitting in the shower. And I think sitting in the shower, like sitting versus standing. When you're standing in the shower, you're like physically doing something. You're like physically like washing your body, doing whatever you want. But when you're sitting in the shower, just like sitting cross-legged, for like, I can't depict it, but you're you're sitting cross-legged and you're like thinking as the water comes down on you, and you're like thinking about like something, and you know, bathtubs have interesting connotations, which we won't get into right now, because interesting connotations. But so she's basically sitting in the shower, and of course she couldn't hear what they said on the telephone, because after the first line they probably were like, oh yeah, your uncle died, and then they like start explaining the semantics. She's like, I don't even want to hear it now, like I can't deal with this, and I have to sing for the Prince in 2 hours. Sitting in the shower, like just contemplating it, like what just happened, another abandonment. She feels like her value is like slowly going down. She would love to save this, like, she wants to save this guy Dave, and then like it's a shame that we die. And it's just like, it's like apathy once again, like, I don't even want to accept it, that it's just a shame that we died. What a literal pain, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. Like,
it's just like,
it's
a shame that we died.
Yeah.
Apathy.
So, next.
Okay. Do you want me to explain this?
It starts getting intense.
This is where my analysis of this line really kicks in that you were talking about. Sorry. Okay. My voice is going out now.
Okay.
I'm so excited. When I was 15, naked next door neighbors did a drive-by, pulled me up by my waist, long hair, by the beach side. First of all, amazing poetry. What do you have to say about this?
It is amazing poetry. I definitely did not get the like deeper meaning of this. I took this so literally because I don't know. I didn't get your analysis of this. To me was like absolutely revolutionary. I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she was 15, that's 1 year after she was sent away to boarding school, and then I didn't find any significance in that.
Well, I would like to assume that she comes home. She originally lived in Lake Placid, didn't she? And then Rhode Island, I guess that's somewhere near, somewhat. I don't know.
She was boarding school in Connecticut, which is pretty close to Rhode Island. Okay. So, like, you know, it's close-ish. So the naked, it's like very exposed. The next door neighbors, I didn't really get much of them. Except I did research drive-by, and the definition of drive-by is like a shooting or something similar, not similar necessarily, but like something that happens very quickly, and it's often used in context of a shooting. And then the pull me up by my waist, I got that as sexual assault, but I don't necessarily. Because your analysis connects much better.
Yeah, online I saw a few things about sexual assault, but I didn't really see it in the song.
Yeah, just like the connotation of naked plus that, and long hair is used to show like femininity, social status, but also like a woman's ability to have children, which is My analysis of this doesn't even really connect to the full song. But it's okay. It's okay.
It's a great analysis. All analysis is valid, you guys.
Yes.
Every single
all
analysis.
analysis is valid. We say that every episode.
Every analysis is valid. Always overthink things because
Yes.
you'll probably be right if you really think about the deeper meaning of a situation. No, seriously, like if you're really thinking and being avid, you might end up being like safer than sorry, you know?
Yeah.
Safer.
Okay.
All right.
So long hair, femininity also like symbolizes often the ability to have children and like fertility and all that. And beachside, the only thing I found for that is like there's a definition of it that means like not worrying about the outcome of what, just like having fun without worrying about the consequences.
Right.
So like just enjoying life without the consequences. I don't know. Reckless.
Teenagers.
Reckless. Someone who's just been through so much traumatic stuff, just recklessly doing stuff. Now it's your turn.
Okay. You could definitely add on to this because I think we can definitely improvise on a lot of things that I'm saying here. But we know that Lana had a suicide attempt at some point where she tried to drown herself, and that was in Rhode Island, where her uncle Dave, the one who also climbed the Rocky Mountains, he was a fisherman there. So I think this is almost a connection. And previously she says, I sat in the shower. And when you sit in the shower, once again, you're in a bathtub. And I feel like that moment is almost a flashback to when she was 15 and she was in the ocean drowning herself. So then she kind of feels this thing where she flashes back while she's sitting in that bathtub. She flashes back to the moment where she drowned herself when she was 15, and that was that attempt that she tried to make. So this is almost her flashing back due to the past events. And when she has this flashback, it's like, oh my god, like, and once again in Monaco, then she tries that attempt again because she's like, oh, that was a failed attempt, but since Dave died this time. And Rhode Island, when that beach that she drowned herself in was likely the beach that Dave was at fishing, so there's that symbolism connection. So she drowned herself, and she felt that pain that she felt earlier. And then her next door neighbors did a drive-by, meaning her next door neighbors saw that, and they were like, oh my god. And obviously, to some extent, I would like to think that my next door neighbors care about me. So, you know, when you're at the beach and they find you like naked and with your hair and you're messed up and you're trying to drown yourself, they're gonna pull you out and bring you to the beach where your uncle was fishing. And so they pull you up by your waist and long hair. And then she says, I wanted to go out like you and swim with the fishes. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, well, like, her uncle was a fisherman, and he, like, went out and fished. And so she wanted to go out, obviously, the suicidal context. She wanted to drown herself there, where her uncle caught fish.
Right. And I think I just want to add on to that. She wanted to go out like you. And I think that's almost like she wanted to like be one with nature. Like Dave, when he died, he was one with nature. And I think she wanted to go out and swim with the fishes. And I almost felt like this was an allude. So immediately when I heard this line, I'm a big fan of Little Mermaid, and there's this line in The Little Mermaid where when the Little Mermaid dies, she becomes foam on the sea. So I kind of saw this as Lana becoming this foam on the sea. She has this legacy in this ocean. She's one with nature, but she's foam on the sea. You'll get it if you're a fan of like the original Hans Christian Andersen kind of Little Mermaid. Love that book. My favorite book of all time. Seriously though, it's a great book. I will lend you my copy at some point.
I will read it.
It's beautiful. And then is there anything else we'd like to
But sometimes it's just not your time.
Oh yeah.
Well,
flip the page. But sometimes it's just not your time.
Because obviously she didn't die at 15.
Yeah. And I think it's just like her telling herself like, oh my god, sometimes it's just not my time.
Yeah.
And I think that also goes back to Monaco where she's like, well, sometimes it's not your time. It's not your time to be happy, and you can't wait to be happy to try and do things that you love, making music. Okay, the next line, Caroline, is just Caroline.
Caroline. So, I mean, obviously, Caroline.
Well, it's her sister, and she's sometimes referred to as Chucky.
Yeah.
But I have to mention that initially when I read this line, I thought it was connected to the previous line. So she says, but sometimes it's just not your time, Caroline. So I thought she was saying, Caroline, sometimes it's not your time. But upon like looking at it, I think it's connected to the line after that. So sometimes it's just not your time, full stop. Caroline, what kind of mother was she, to say? Yeah, and then we'll get into that line later.
That's similar to what I got. Like, I didn't do a lot of analysis on Caroline itself.
Yeah.
Only that sometimes she's called Chucky.
Right, right. Yeah.
Not in this song.
Well, I kind of know, I was just thinking about Caroline and, like, her relationship to Lana. And, you know, they have, like, a sisterly relationship. So her addressing her younger sister like this and, like, asking her these questions is... It could be endearing, but it just could also show that, like, Lana is unable to understand what's going on. She's, like, unable to figure out, like, this, what's going on, this, and everything. Like, Lana's almost lost.
That's a good point. And it's also interesting that she's, like, asking her younger sister. Because usually older sisters are, like, don't reveal anything.
Well, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. The younger sister asks the question to the older sister.
And the older sister doesn't usually ask that sort of thing to younger sisters, but in this case it's sort of...
Precisely. Alright, so that ties into what kind of mother was she to say I'd end up in institutions?
Yeah.
Oh my god, where to start? This line is very deep, actually. Well,
I mean, definitely.
Definitely. So, I mean, there's been slander for Lana's mother throughout this whole song. It's a lot to do with her slandering the way her mother treats her and what kind of mother was she? That's something normally what people say.
Yeah, it's not. What kind of mother was she to say I end up in institutions?
And she say I'd end up in institutions because that's her mother saying because you have these actions, because I know you're gonna take these actions. I know you that well. Like I know you from this depiction that I have in my mind of you. You're going to end up in institutions and you're just that corrupted.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I assume that this is roughly from around 14 when she was sent away to boarding school to get sober.
Right.
So like at 14, what mother knows her child well enough to be able to say those things? Like, I don't know many 14-year-olds who have a genuine close relationship with their mother.
Right. I think I also I researched a bit, and when Lana was 14, 15, almost around the same age, her best friend, who happened to also be 14, who happened to be 14 while she was 15, committed suicide. So that's another mental toll that led her to write, I'm pretty sure it's Summertime Sadness. I may be incorrect about that. But I know her friend committed suicide when she was 14 and when Lana was 15. So that's another thing that might have contributed to this past trauma.
Yeah, definitely.
And then she says, do you have anything else to say?
Not for that one, no.
Okay. Then she says, all I wanted to do was kiss Aaron Green and sit by the... Well, you know what? We'll just say, all I wanted to do was kiss Aaron Green.
Yeah, the next line ties in, right?
Yeah, and then the next line. Well let's first talk about this. So, Aaron Green, define.
Aaron Green, he was just a teenager, 2 years older than her. Right, yeah, 2 years older than her, who lived in her town, Lake Placid.
I don't exactly know, we don't know for sure who exactly Aaron Green was in a way, because it just said that Aaron Green was driving, like, really fast, apparently, or something, with a girl, and they were, like, a hippie couple, apparently described in some news outlet, and we can say that perhaps this female in the relationship was Lana, considering it was Lake Placid, small town, probably gonna meet, and that also ties into like a following part where she says that Aaron is dead.
Yeah.
But they were both in that car. We'll get around to explaining that a little bit later.
See, for this one, I thought since he's 2 years older, and we know she got sent away like around 15, so like she would be a freshman and he was a junior. And it seems like such a typical teenage thing to just like want to randomly kiss this dude. I don't know. It seems like a more typical teenage thing, not like a psychotic teenager who's gonna end up in institutions or anything.
Right. I think like all she wanted to do was kiss Aaron Green. So compared to everything else, this one little desire that she had, she claims is for that she never wanted to. On the other page, she said, "I didn't plan for no. It wasn't my idea. The cocktail of things that twist and turns inside." While on the other side, she says, all I wanted to do was kiss Aaron Green. So that contrastion, whatever it is.
And the line that ties in next almost contradicts.
Yeah.
It wasn't my idea.
Yeah. And so that kind of, contradicts each other because all she ever wanted to do was do something simple like kiss Aaron Green.
Yeah, kiss Aaron Green.
I mean, it takes a lot of guts, but especially for someone who's an upperclassman.
Yeah.
And then you can sit by the lake, twisting lime into the drinks that they made.
So the lake here is really interesting.
What did you think about that?
Well, I assumed it was like Aaron Green's older friends who were like in his grade, because when I was reading the article, they did interviews with a bunch of his friends.
Oh, okay.
What did you think?
I didn't really take it in the approach of his friends. I thought about like sitting by the lake and twisting lime into drinks is very calming. I mean, you're getting drunk, but maybe, we don't know. But you're drinking drinks and it's just a leisure activity. I thought like a lot of these, I didn't take it with so much like, I took it with very face value. I just looked at it and was like, oh yeah, drinking drinks by the lake.
Yeah. Well, one thing interesting here is she never explicitly says alcoholic drinks. Like
Valid.
The line implies it.
Right.
It could be just like iced tea.
It definitely could, which is what makes it more of a leisure activity.
Yeah. A normal teenage leisure activity.
Yep. Okay. Next one. Have a babe at 16 in the town I was born and died in.
So what did you think about this?
A lot. Well, she says have a babe at 16. Baby? I don't know. I just took these lyrics off of Genius. Thanks a lot for that, Genius. But I guess it's going back to the fact of the matter that she really wanted to have a child and everyone denied her of the ability and like, oh, you can't have a child, you're not capable of it based on the type of person that you are, blah 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 blah. And she's saying like, what if I did? I mean, I would still be corrupted, but like, what if I did? And then she says, in the town I was born and died in, which kind of means like, because this whole time she was a young adult and not actually an adult yet, she was still Lizzie Grant and not Lana Del Rey. Yeah. So in the town that she was born in, Lizzie Grant, and the one that she died in, Lizzie Grant. She died as Lizzie Grant and became Lana. What about you?
So I got a similar thing for the born in and died. Like I wrote that Elizabeth Woolridge Grant never made it out because like the suicidal and alcohol and changing of her name and just the adopting of a persona, even though she has said it's not a persona, just a different name. But like Lizzie Grant didn't make it out of the town. But for the babe thing, I got a different analysis.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Because I also noticed that it was weird. She said have a babe at 16, not a baby. And so I assumed that she meant like have a boyfriend at 16, Aaron Green, like a basic
well,
teenage thing.
That's a good point you make, because normally people would think about it and be like, yeah, but having a boyfriend at 16 is normal. But then when you think about it for someone like Lizzie Grant, aka Lana Del Rey, who has so much turmoil and so many issues,
trauma,
it's kind of like a little daunting like thought to like have a boyfriend at probably this age
Yeah.
because there could be so many other things going on, right?
And the normalcy is daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I said, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aaron ended up dead. I think this line broke me. Oh, Aaron ended up dead and not me. I forgot. My bad. Aaron ended up dead and not me.
Yeah.
I put, like, in all caps, basically filled up, like, a little... It's bigger than most of my other handwriting, but I wrote, like, oh my god, in big caps letters, because, oh my god.
This line.
Well,
I can see.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Would you like to start?
Well, I'll start with, like, giving the background context of Aaron's death.
For sure.
So he was riding in a car, I believe the article said drunk, right?
I believe so.
And they were going excessively fast.
Lana was in that car?
Was she?
Well, perhaps suspected that Lana might have also been in that car.
So potentially with Lana Del Rey, there was a passenger there, and the car was going, like I said, excessively fast, and it wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the details of the wreck. I think it was in a ditch. At least they found it in a ditch.
Right. So basically, Aaron ended up dead and not me. And she's kind of saying that even though Aaron didn't intend to die, he still died. While even with her intention to die, she didn't.
And that really ties back to sometimes it's just not your time.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not your time. And then her suicide attempt at the beach when her neighbors pulled her up.
Yeah.
And that might have to do with something that Lana never realized, that she had so many people in the world that actually care about her, and Lana may have never recognized that a lot of people are looking out for her in reality and really trying to help her out and get to her, send a message to her.
Yeah.
All right.
The next line, what the...
Huh?
The next
line. What the F is wrong in your head to send me away.
Never to come back. Well,
yeah, so I kind of noticed that Lana whispers this line, like, upon listening to the song, of course. I've listened to the song perhaps a million times. I'm joking. But she says, once again, she uses vergular language in this. So that's, like, a lot of emphasis there.
Yeah. Like the rage or emotion.
Yeah, what is wrong in your head. And this is directed to her mother, assumingly, to send me away, because... Why don't you explain this part?
Well, she was sent to a Catholic boarding school, I believe, in Connecticut.
Right.
Kent School. To get sober from alcoholism.
Right.
Like we've been saying.
And then never to come back. So I kind of thought of this as, like, she goes as Lizzie but comes back as Lana. And it's not like she's going there, but it's more like she's finally left this town, so she's never gonna come back as Lizzie, because right after that, I don't know if she comes back or not, but right after that she goes to Miami to live with her aunt and uncle, and then that's where she becomes Lana.
Yeah.
So this is kind of telling that story of how she went from, well, how she died, but how she went from Lizzie to Lana.
Yeah. And the almost whispering point is interesting also. It can tie back to, like, the line, what kind of mother was she to say I end up in institutions, because she barely says mother there.
Well, in the mother, I think a lot of fans have said that she almost, like, censors mother. Like, what kind of... She... And it kind of, like, how Doja Cat puts the, like wink thing, and whenever she, I don't know, I just remember there was, like, some, like, sound that they insert to, like, bleep out everything. So, yeah. It's similar to that.
Yeah. I thought, well, it's just interesting that she barely says mother, as if she's, like, alluding to the fact that she wasn't a mother because of what she said and what she did.
Perhaps, yeah.
But back to the line at hand. So what did you get for this?
Oh, yeah, that's basically it. I was just talking about how Lizzie goes, Lana comes.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
one train
basically
goes, one train comes. And then that kind of blends into the next line.
exotic places and people to take the place of being your child.
Well, this is deep and not deep at all.
Yeah. Well, I think of all the lines in the song, this is one of the ones that hit me the hardest.
Did it?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just like.
I don't know. I think, well, if you're gonna ask me that question, I would say probably like the Aaron ended up dead, just because it's so daunting to think about.
Yeah.
Or like when I was 15, naked next door neighbor. Actually, every line of this song is very impactful.
This song, it is very.
Yeah, similar to Kensuke. Coming up soon. Exotic places and people to take away the place of being your child. So we can start by talking about exotic places and people.
So obviously, when you have a lot of fame, you're gonna go to different places and meet people. Like she sang for the prince.
Right. And then she says to take the place of being your child, and she asks that question to send me away and never to come back. And then that's going to take the place of being your child. So she's saying, by sending me away, am I no longer your child? And Lana almost makes that wish come true by changing from Lizzie to Lana and kind of leaving that Lizzie behind.
Yeah. And it is interesting that, like, she asked the question.
Right.
And a lot of parents, I think, sometimes they're trying to give their child the best life, but they forget to just have their child as their child.
Right. Yeah,
and
for sure.
Raise and interact and, like, just be there.
Yeah, and, like, understand them and stuff. But, yes, that's basically what we thought about that. And then give myself 2 seconds to cry. I mean, she's giving herself 2 seconds to cry because when she's asked this question, it's almost a realization of, oh my God, this is why this happened. This is what's going on. This is the reality.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way she phrases it. She gives herself 2 seconds to cry. It's like she's controlling her.
Right. In a way, this whole song is almost like a reality check. It's like, let me tell you everything that's the reality. Like, Lana's almost telling herself, like, or maybe Lizzie's telling Lana, or Lana's telling Lizzie. It kind of alternates throughout the whole song. That, like, this is reality. This is what's really going on. And, like, open your eyes.
Yeah, it could be a conversation between them.
It could definitely be a conversation. But she also switches perspectives a lot throughout the song, so.
Yeah, like the the potential you and them, it just changes a lot.
Right. Okay, next part.
Let it crash over me like waves in the sea.
Right. So, no, wait, hold on. Isn't there the Aphrodite lyrics before that? Oh, wait, no, that's before.
Oh, okay.
Let it crash over me like the waves of the sea.
So, I mean, this line, it's a very pretty line, but I don't know how deep it is. Like, in terms of figuring out the figurative language.
I had a deepish meaning.
Also,
I would like to think so.
What did you say for it?
Oh, well, basically, since this whole thing is a reality check, her accepting the fact that her mother sent her away, let it crash over me is her almost letting that realization come over her and now realizing, oh my God, I am Lana now. I'm not Lizzie Grant because my mother sent away Lizzie Grant and now I'm only Lana. And like the waves of the sea, so that's like, waves of the sea are supposed to be like calamities. It's supposed to be calm, but, you know, it's like, let it crash over me like the waves of the sea. Very poetic.
Yeah, very poetic. For this line, well, initially I just had it as being like grief and life.
Right.
And then like waves in the sea, since she tried to drown herself, it's almost like she's drowning in that.
Yeah. I see that where that's coming from. Yeah, I feel like, once again, this is a allude back to the fact that she committed suicide on that beach.
Yeah.
Let it crash over me like the waves in the sea. It's like she's dying in the sea, which we'll get to momentarily. Don't worry, that's coming soon. But yeah, it's almost like she's like leaving her soul behind there.
Yeah, maybe not physically she's not physically dead, but definitely.
And that's why you call her Aphrodite.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the next line. Lana says, "Call me Aphrodite." And I think this is her talking to her fans, talking to the people listening to the song. Call me Aphrodite.
Interesting.
What do you think?
So initially, when I first Googled Aphrodite, the very first sentence of what it said was, "It's the patron goddess of prostitutes and sexuality and beauty."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people seeing her as only that symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Of basically like demeaning her with that tag of, well, stripper basically, or like whatever they use to call her and demean her by. And the next line.
Well, I'll just say that there's a lot of connotations that can come with Aphrodite.
Like beautiful, but also...
Well, other than beautiful, there's also the fact of the matter that Aphrodite was born from the sea.
That's all this.
So, Aphrodite being born from the sea almost goes back to the fact of the matter that when Lana, Lizzie, drowned herself when she was 15. When she drowned herself, she almost died at Lizzie in that moment, even though she never became Lana until way later. She almost left behind Lizzie in that moment, and that's where she became Lana, and that's why she flashed back previously in Monaco. So
Lana was born from the sea almost.
Exactly, just like Aphrodite, and well, reborn from the sea.
Yeah.
And additionally, Aphrodite, in her Roman form, is the goddess Venus, and she's the goddess of fertilization.
Oh, so that connects very much.
Yeah, and I actually got this from a TikTok. So, if you are watching this, the person who made that TikTok, credit to you. I don't remember who you were, but I remember watching you. Yeah, so Aphrodite and her many connotations. Call me Aphrodite. Lana asking for herself to be called Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are many connotations.
Right.
Take this in many different ways.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them do fit with the situation.
Okay.
The next line.
As they bow down to me. Go ahead.
So this one I connected back to the initial Aphrodite line. So like if these people are trying to demean her by calling her like prostitute or just seeing her as only visually what is there, not valuing her as an actual person with thoughts and feelings.
Right.
And yet they're still bowing down to her as this like celebrity. So they're pretending to idolize her while not actually valuing her.
Yeah, I feel like as they bow down to me kind of says that like there are people out there who don't see her for who she really is, but they love her so much. They love her music. They love this Lana persona, but they don't know this Lizzie persona, because as she's being called Aphrodite, they're calling the one Aphrodite as the one who's reborn from the sea, not the original or unborn Aphrodite. So rather they're bowing down to Lana, and they never bow down to Lizzie, who was actually the one who had to go through all of the hardships, rather than Lana, the alter ego, who was kind of painless and more reckless, as some people would like to state. That blends into the next line: sunbather, moon chaser,
queen of empathy. I really like this line.
I really like the last few lines. I think they're very poetic. Well, let's start with sunbather. What's the connotation of that?
Like basking in the sun, almost angelic. But also to an extent like modern California summer. Yeah,
I kind of took it with the modern California summer aesthetic thing. Sunbather could definitely imply that she's the LA glam girl, and I kind of wrote glam girl because
glam girl.
She's depicted as this idea, and sunbather is this type of person, this type of idea of a woman who has this persona of being this glam girl, which is what we look at Lana and we think, oh my god, glam girl.
Yeah, glam.
And then moon chaser.
So I looked on the Urban Dictionary for this one, and I found various things, including gay man, and also extremely happy and or ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of which really fit the like public persona of Lana Del Rey.
For sure. I mean, I kind of stopped researching at this point because I wanted to give this a very, I thought these last lines would be a good way for Lana to kind of sign off rather than too much research being involved. I mean, she's addressing her fans at this point, so she's almost talking to them like they know her, because in a way that they would know her.
Yeah.
And she states moon chaser in the sense that they know her as a moon chaser, one who chases like men of night, and like I thought of it like moon chaser as in becoming, in Carmen she states like street walk at night and a star by day, which is what kind of brought me back to the moon chaser. So these parallels are kind of coming back. It's like Lana going over her whole Lana time. This whole time she was going over Lizzie, and now she's like finally coming to the Lana part. So yeah,
well, this album, there's a lot of like going back to her
Lizzie
past.
roots.
Yeah. And moon chaser, like it, I mean, if you take it in like the sense of someone who chases moons, it's almost imaginative or creative.
It is,
someone
for sure.
Who, like,
Sunbather, moon chaser.
Yeah, who can create these narratives like Lana Del Rey can, that are so engaging and interesting to analyze.
For sure. And then the last one is Queen of Empathy.
Well, the fans, if she's talking to the fans, they all feel like heard and seen by what she sings about.
Well, for this one I did actually research, ironically, but Queen of Empathy is Lana Del Rey's song, actually. It's a song that she put out a while back. I don't recall what album or what, I don't think I've like properly heard the song. I probably heard it once or twice, but not properly enough to like sing all the lyrics. Call me not an OG. But I think Queen of Empathy is almost a nod to one of her Lana eras. It's like saying, almost like Taylor eras, you know. But it's like a nod to saying, yeah, I'm the Queen of Empathy now. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, all of these could technically be nods to eras like Sunbathers.
For sure.
The LA Glam Girl in the beginning. And then Moon Chaser could be like darker ultraviolence.
Yeah, and then Queen of Empathy could definitely be like NFR, because I think a lot of people could relate to NFR. I don't know. I think all of the albums could definitely be very relatable. And it's just based on which one's your personal favorite.
So this line could technically be like an Eras tour.
It could be Eras tour. Hey Taylor. Give myself 2 seconds to breathe.
This is very much like when you give yourself a second to breathe, it's like you're putting space between yourself and all those things that are stressing you out.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like
but
your history, which connects to the last line. Well, what did you say?
Oh my god. Well, I think this whole song, pretty much a thematic kind of thing here was suicide. So it's ironic that she talks about breathing, and once again, that's like irony number 5 or 6 at this point, which is like, you know, they say there's irony in the music. She's giving herself 2 seconds to breathe. It's like her finally accepting that I am alive now. I can't do anything. I'm not going to commit suicide before she says, Charlie, stop smoking, even though she smokes herself. And so at this album, she vapes a lot, and there's a lot of, like, points where you can hear her hitting the jewel. But, yeah.
It is interesting that she says breathe because she tried to drown herself.
I just realized something. I apologize because I said Queen of Empathy was her song, but actually it's the Serene Queen that's her song, not Queen of Empathy. But anyway, we already connected Queen of Empathy.
Yeah.
We'll get to Serene Queen in momentarily. But yeah, I just looked at it. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I was just saying that it's interesting she says breathe because she tried to drown herself.
Yes, exactly.
Drowning is like, you stop breathing.
Exactly. The point is she's breathing now. She's not committing suicide. She's alive. It's her like accepting the fact that she's alive. Anything else?
Not for that line, no.
Okay, and then she says going back to being a serene queen.
And so this is the song?
This is the song, and what I was going to say in regards to this, I just thought about it right now, and that's how it hit me. Serene Queen, Queen of Empathy. I'm very confused. I'm very, very confused. So, actually, being a serene queen is like saying, like, she'll give herself 2 seconds to breathe, 2 seconds to go back to the time where she almost committed suicide, and then
going back to being the serene queen. The serene queen is almost Lana's songs, who Lana is, not Lizzie.
Yeah.
And then going back to being that is like going back to being Lana.
Yeah. And that line is very interesting in connection with the next line and the line before. Because it's like she just switches back to the persona.
Right. So being the queen of empathy. Sorry, being the serene queen. Oh my god.
Which is Lana. The serene queen, which is Lana.
Precisely.
In the next line,
and then the very last line, actually. I just needed 2 seconds to be me. All right.
So, Lizzie?
Well, yeah, Lizzie for sure. So I think, well, why don't you go first? Because I have a lot to say about this.
Okay. Well, for this one, like, if we connect it to the Serene Queen being Lana Del Rey, I didn't know that she had a song called Serene Queen, but in my analysis, I did, like, mark that as the Serene Queen being the Lana Del Rey persona, whereas 2 Seconds to Be Me is her just reflecting on her Lizzie roots. Yeah. Well, she's not who people see her as.
For sure.
And instead of letting them down, she just like takes a private second to be Lizzie, and then a Lizzie.
Right. Yeah.
At the end.
And then I kind of said that I just needed 2 seconds to be me was like Lana coming back. Well, exactly, pretty much what you said, but with a little bit of difference. 2 seconds to be me is Lana saying, I need 2 seconds to be Lizzie again. I can't survive as Lana anymore. I can't do this for you anymore. I can't be this persona. I can't be this glam girl. I can't be this moon chaser, sunbather. So almost by assertion here was like Lana doesn't want to be Lana anymore. This is the last album of her music career, and that's what brought me to that assertion, because she needed 2 seconds to be her. So she's almost done, and throughout this whole song she's like, I needed 2 seconds.
Yeah, the repetition.
I don't think you need 2 seconds, Lana. Are you done with your music career? Theory, guys.
Yeah.
Theory to think about. This definitely could be the end of Lana's career. It's a great nod and a great ending point for sure.
It is definitely, like, if she ended on this, it would be
full circle. We get a closed ending at least.
Yeah, especially with all the nods back to former
exactly
in this album.
However, Lana, if you're listening, we would love to hear a rock album. A second one, like Ultraviolence. Yeah, so that's basically it.
Yeah.
Do you have an overall... Well, let's first talk about analysis rating.
Overall analysis rating? I think a 9. Like, collectively. 9.
Okay. I would say for me, a 10. This is definitely 10 kind of writing. I love the writing in this. It's so intricate, and I felt like Sherlock Holmes. I even wore my Sherlock Holmes coat. But I definitely did feel like Sherlock Holmes while reading through this. So I really loved this song a lot. And I think it means a lot to me. Like, anytime I listen to the song, I'll just, like, think about it very deeply. And it'll resonate a lot. But, yeah, I would say 10 for analysis.
Yeah.
Overall,
as a song musically, I would say 7.8.
Well, I guess we're very different, because I would rate this song, like, almost a 9.8. No, maybe 9.5. But I really do like this song musically. I think there are a lot of good points musically that she makes. Like, definitely the way she whispers some lines, and then the way she almost sounds frantic when she says, I couldn't handle it. I was in Monaco. I couldn't hear what they said on the telephone. And, like, she sounds very frantic in that moment. I love the bartender sample.
The bartender sample is good.
I think I like, normally I would, like, listen to Bartender, and I would give this Bartender, like, 6 out of 10. But this song, even with the bartender sample, is gotta be, like, a 9.5 for me.
I do like all the, like, little intricate details that she puts into it musically. But I think ultimately for me, like, in terms of the notes, it's just not my favorite of all of her songs.
Okay, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I feel like a lot of people have claimed that Fingertips is boring, which I can
No.
definitely. Well, I know that was not what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
I'm just like,
I know, but I know a lot of people like will listen to Fingertips and be like, it's kind of a drain at this
and
point.
like overlook it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was her intention. She's like
Maybe.
disguising all of her secrets and all of her truths
Yeah.
with maybe not the most interesting melody, so that
Yeah.
it's not
Maybe
drawing
she's scared
attention.
to reveal them.
Yeah, so it doesn't draw attention to itself.
However, I have to say, Fingertips is one of those songs that even if I didn't know the meaning, well, to an extent, I feel like at this point I could never get sick of listening to Fingertips. Like there will never be a point where I'll listen to Fingertips and I'll be like, this song is horribly draining and boring. Like, I love this song that much. Like, there will never, I love A&W. A&W is probably my number one, I can tell you that already. But there will never be a point where I'll listen to the song and like be like, this is boring now.
Yeah.
A&W, when you get to the Jimmy Jimmy Cocoa Puff, I'd be like, okay, we're done now.
There is a point when you reach your fill of Jimmy Jimmy Cocoa.
Yeah, Jimmy Jimmy Cocoa Pop. However, A&W, it's a lyrical masterpiece, and I love everything about it. But this is not an A&W episode.
okay.
This is a Fingertips episode. So, with that, anything else to say?
Do you have a favorite one?
A favorite line? Oh, well, I mean, I could definitely just go through this and like state all the lines that I like.
Just because this is such a poetic song,
Seriously.
so I wouldn't be surprised if there was like
I would
some lines that you just find
for
beautiful.
sure. I would like to deem myself as poetic, but I'm not very poetic. In fact, I hate poetry. Ironic, isn't it? They say there's irony in the music. It's a tragedy. I think a lot of the parts where she says, I see nothing Greek in it. I think that's very deep. There's a lot to talk about there. I also like the part where she says, "'Cause baby, I ran through a time where I felt you were doing it." I think that hits kind of hard because even though Lana's talking to Dave, or at least in my head she's talking to Dave, I can see her like talking to like the audience, and I can see her talking and telling them like, yo, hold up, stop right there. Then what else? It's a shame that we die.
Oh, yeah.
That's just very good.
And the way she sings